I've outcast my innocence. The minute that gavel became an instrument playing with my organs, and my heart dropped to the beat. Now please take note that my freedom and captivity became intimate. No strings attached, but as soon as I let the viol in, the court session engaged in a musical selection called Prison Song. And it was filled with lyrics of my fears, and my charges were their playlist, so they put me on repeat offender. Now why was I surrender a song I couldn't sing? Because I knew by me being locked and cuffed, it would have been in the wrong key. They burned me with all first degrees. So can you please tell me who the real victim here is? Because I was never in the wrong. I was just at the wrong place at the wrong time, but they've just got the wrong person, and that's not right. But I swear I would just let it go if they just let me go. But instead, they let me go insane, knowing that I was framed so they could picture me in a cage like a dog with no name. I'm lost. Quite frankly, I'm not even sure if I want to be found. I mean, anyways, who's gonna play detective to find a lost soul that is spiritually bound? But in my case, I had to go through this trial. So as the bailiff lifts my hands and asks, do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? So help me, God. I throw myself in the mercy of your courts. Now, I don't mean to play the blame game, but you said it was your job as a parent was to have this child. I guess you were forced to abort. Now, to my understanding, my life was put into your hands for you to be in charge with. But God, look at what I'm charged with. Narcotics, with demonic possession. So I assaulted the exalted at the altar. It altered in thievery that was easily offered. So I can rob people's minds, as well as mine, for their faith, and breaking into the vaults of their hearts, thinking that it was safe until I combinate and take every recognition of God's grace from the memory bank. Now, that was a plan the devil had planned for me. Unknowingly to my knowledge, of course, but you see, I couldn't blame him because he was merely the accessory to do a robbery that was robbing me. So can you please tell me who the real criminal here is? Because on that day, my life was pulled over. I said my life was pulled over by an authority that enforced maturity. But I was too drunk off my own free will, so I let my sex drive. So why was I surprised when they asked for my license and registration of fornication? Because I knew they would find out that this vessel had no assurance. So I sped off, resisting cardiac arrest. See, my life started off as a joyride. Now they were in my pursuit of happiness. So as I'm sitting here in this chair of a defendant's iniquity, feeling more guilty than the jury, a voice screams out, all rise. And who do you think walked inside? It was God. And I knew it was him, because he is the ultimate judge. And his robe wrote goodness around his waist, and his spirit filled the room with salvation. And every step he took brought peace to everyone's jaws. And without me being feared of being put in contempt, I screamed out, Lord, I give up. I plead guilty to being filthy, but I grew up being taught that dirt don't hurt. But just because you think that I've committed a crime, it doesn't mean that I was committed to crime. But I have mistaken your angel's morality impression for police brutality reflections. But then Jesus, the witness and the lawyer, screamed out objection. He said, Your Honor, your word shows law and order. And for these past 48 hours, we've been trying to get in these criminal minds. And I wanted to inform the defendant that this cold case CSI conducted a spiritual autopsy. And the evidence proved that he was covered by the blood. And I feel that he should serve the penalty appointed. So how does the jury find the defendant? We find him anointed. Then God said, Son, these charges find you guilty as charged. So I give you a life sentence. I don't think you guys heard that, but he gave me life. So I guess you're wondering what I would do with it, right? Well, I noticed that Jesus' crucifixion wasn't as bad as my conviction. But He had to put me in this spiritual lockdown for a reason, because he knew I needed correction. That was his promise, and he meant this. That you don't have to be in English class to know that God will give you the word and write you letters until you finish your sentence. So I want to let you all know that you are all most wanted. You're wanted for your sins. So please, please do like me and turn yourself in.